Clearly, they were expected to make a choice. Either Baldoni or Ryan and Blake, and William Morris dropped Baldoni like a hot rock.
I love seeing Colin Jost come back to Saturday Night Live last night with a joke at his wife, Blake Lively's expense.
Made it seem like a moral act of loyalty.
Saturday Night Live just threw more fuel on the fire in Blake Lively and Justin Baldwin's ongoing legal battle. And this time it came straight from Colin Jost.
Last night on Saturday Night Live, Colin Jost came back live and clearly made a joke at Blake Lively.
Now, if you think that's random, let's add some extra layers of Hollywood mess. Jost is married to Scarlett Johansson, who just so happens to be Ryan Reynolds' ex-wife. And if the rumors are to be believed, their marriage hit the rocks after Reynolds allegedly had an affair with none other than Blake Lively. Yep, you heard that. Right now you see that the drama just naturally writes. Itself decided to leave his A-list wife for one of the most despised actresses in Hollywood. It was back in 2010 when he was married to Scarlett Johansson. Then he allegedly cheated on her with actress Blake Lively now. Before we get into the juicy details of Colin, just roast remember that Reynolds and Blake were just at the SNL 50th anniversary event a couple weeks ago where he took center stage with that dry joke he made about his wife's lawsuit.
I have a question.
Oh, hey, Ryan Reynolds.
Hi.
Hey. Ryan Reynolds, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
They made it seem like everyone enjoyed the joke, but trust me, the comment section of every media outlet that posted the clip was absolute chaos. Reynolds has probably never experienced such premium drag in his life in his attempt to save face. He ended up bashing it even further, and now Colin Jost, the husband of his beloved ex-wife, just added spice to the already tasty drama. And you know what's wild this episode of. SNL focused a lot on politics, especially the whole fiasco between Trump and Zelensky, yet Blake Lively still managed to catch some serious strays.
To borrow missiles so they can take the party to the next level. Zelensky was asked to leave the White House. Then he appeared on Fox News and said he thinks he can still salvage his relationship with President Trump, which is like Justin Baldoni saying, I'd love to work with Blake again.
There is shade, and then there is shade. This right here is the mother of all shades. It all makes sense now. SNL wasn't being naive when they allowed Ryan Reynolds to take a crack at his wife's lawsuit. They knew that by doing that, he just opened himself up for them to turn the case into a regular topic in their skits. I mean, if the husband could mock his wife's lawsuit, why can't they the fact that it was Colin Jost of all people who threw that shade? You should. No, this wasn't just a joke. It was a precision strike.
Have your ex-wife's husband crack this joke, the same ex-wife's husband whose show you decided to go make your first appearance on and let him write a joke for you that bombs. I mean, the whole thing is all next level.
We got to get to SNL. They're savage with their moves. They always knew fans wouldn't like the fact that they allowed Ryan to do his thing at their event. They took the heat that came after because they got the bigger picture firmly in their sights. And now they're letting it rip. Don't be surprised if there's a Blake Lively joke in every other episode of the show. Even Colin couldn't hold his laugh before he cracked the joke.
Which is like Justin Baldoni saying, I'd love to work with Blake again.
Ooh, and even the audience is like laughing, but like...
These guys are simply geniuses. To be honest, for a second, you'd really be convinced they're supporting Blake. But it's clear they didn't care one bit about her victim's sob story. They probably don't believe anything she's claimed to her lawsuit. They needed a way in, and Ryan Reynolds served it to them on a platter. And now they're going to feast to their heart's content. The golden couple should brace up. It's about to get cracking.
Shows SNL playing its cards of, yeah, they're clearly, they know Blake Lively is crazy. And I given the appearance, she's going to have this same reaction of, wait a second, why are you making fun of me? I thought you had our back, Saturday Night Live. What's going on?
But do you know what's hilarious? If SNL wanted to play fair, like they wanted to show some solidarity to Blake and her husband, they could have reversed the role in this joke. Rather than start the humor with Justin Baldoni, they could have started with Blake instead, but they didn't.
I know Justin Baldoni's never working with Blake Lively again. And notice, this joke could have been the other way around. That's like Blake Lively saying, yeah, I want to work with Justin again. They chose to make the butt of the joke on her, not on him. Incredibly telling.
That's all the proof you need to know about what Hollywood really thinks of this drama. Initially, they were swayed by Blake's story, and they strongly supported her. But after everything that's been exposed in recent weeks, the cracks in her claims have been laid bare, and everyone now sees her for what she really is. It looks like the Queen Mother lost her crown, and her dragons can't do anything about it this time, SNL. was basically telling us it. It wasn't Lively who had a rough time on set. It was the poor Baldoni who was getting kicked around.
That to me is showing where Hollywood and all these people align. And this one was just far more interesting to talk about because given this whole appearance, which even Kevin Costner was like, what the hell are you doing, Ryan?
Blake leveraged everything possible to seize control of that movie. She played Justin like a guitar, pulling his strings slowly in the most unassuming way. She knew there was no way Baldoni could fight back, while the movie was yet to launch. She arranged that meeting for him to meet her dragons live and direct, so he'd know just how powerful she was and the things she could do to him if he tried to make things difficult.
Blake leverages her friendship with Taylor Swift against Baldoni. She says, I'm like Khaleesi from Game of Thrones, and my husband Ryan and my best friend Taylor are my dragons. They inspire me. They support me.
When you're dealing with someone who's got the likes of Taylor Swift in their corner, you've got to be smart. The Swifties can devour the biggest celebrities if their fave wishes it, not to mention a relatively unknown actor out of nowhere. While it's unclear how deeply Taylor was involved in this drama, one clear thing is that her fans will support whoever she supports. If she were a dragon like Blake described, then her fire would definitely be strong, enough to wipe out her enemies. Remember how they dealt with CJ.
Fan base. The Swifties just bombarded a restaurant owned by the mother of a Philadelphia Eagles player, CJ Gardner-Johnson, with terrible Yelp reviews, calling the place horrible, inedible, all that stuff. Because CJ trolled Taylor.
Brian Fredman Baldwin's lawyer responded to Ryan's weird joke about the lawsuit at SNL 50 when he appeared on Billy Bush's podcast. You should know by now, he's not one to hold back. He had some pretty explosive things to say.
I think anybody who's been accused of heinous, arguably what are crimes, is on vacation. I think that he is trying to gather with his family and get some semblance of peace.
Remember that immediately after Lively's lawsuit dropped like a bomb, the majority of the cast members of it ends with us. From Liz Plank to Colleen, Hoover unfollowed him on social media, some even went as far as release statements in support of Lively. But after her lawsuit has been rendered baseless, the majority of them have either deleted their initial posts or just disappeared from social media, which makes you wonder why they blindly supported Blake in the first place.
They premiered the movie. Ryan Reynolds had unfollowed him on Insta. So had Blake. So had the rest of the cast. Now you tell me, if you're an unknown actor in this film and you know that Blake and Ryan have turned on the no-name Justin Baldoni, who are you going to follow? These are weak, feckless people out in Hollywood. They have no spine. So of course they all unfollowed him and chose Team Blake.
The fact that Liz Plank and Colleen Hoover were part of those who turned their backs on Baldoni shocked a lot of people to switch up. Was really crazy, almost unbelievable. But you know what's really interesting about this drama right now? The alleged HR complaint document that's been circulating on social media. In recent days, no one seems to have a clue how it leaked, but I'm sure y'all can deduce who could have done it. But the crazy thing is this document was so redacted, you'd wonder what the point of leaking. It was even the dates were redacted.
What are the dates of these HR complaints? Do you know the dates?
There's no dates. The dates are redacted. The names of the complainants are redacted, except for on one of them, there's an M.
Why leak a document when you know it will be impossible for people to figure out if it is genuine or not? The whole point of getting the HR complaint out there is to prove that Lively's claims about the two other co-stars being harassed were true. But when the names and dates are redacted, it defeats the whole point, doesn't it? How do we make sense of it, especially without the dates?
I'm not really sure why the dates are redacted. That's interesting. I understand why people could be redacted. I believe in certain privacy rights, certainly. But I'm not really clear on why dates would be redacted.
Remember, Lively allegedly strong-armed Sony into giving her the clearance to make the final cut in the movie. Not only that, she also threatened to stage a walkout that would bomb the film sales if Baldoni was allowed to attend the New York premiere. She got all she wanted, and then some. But you know what's shocking? Contrary to her amended lawsuit, Sony has strongly denied any HR complaint being submitted to them.
As far as Sony is concerned, I believe there's a Variety article that I read that's published, that's out there that says Sony received no complaints.
Yeah, Sony has said they received no complaint.
With Sony denying ever receiving a complaint, it makes you wonder if the HR document that's been floating around is even real. How's Blake going to prove that these co-stars actually filed a complaint about being harassed? You'd expect that these women would have made some sort of statement since they were named in her amended suit. But there hasn't been a peep if the so-called victims can't even come out and tell their story. What does that say about the integrity of this lawsuit by Blake Wave? Farrer also denied ever receiving a complaint from any co-star. If both sides didn't receive a complaint, does that mean the document floating around was cooked? I guess that explains why the dates were redacted alongside every other useful bit.
Right. I'm unaware of any other, of any, frankly, HR complaints that have been filed. And I think if you look through the website and you look through the documents, you can see clearly from certain documents that there were no HR complaints filed.
When asked about what he thought of Ryan's weird joke at the SNL 50th anniversary event, Brian revealed it was just one of many blunders Lively and her husband keep making in this battle to him. It shows just how desperate they are to shift the narrative back in their favor. And just like every other attempt they've made in recent weeks to achieve, that they failed again.
I'm unaware of anybody, frankly, whose wife has been sexually harassed and has made jokes about that type of situation.
That is exactly why people were perplexed with Ryan's decision to make such comments at the SNL. This is a serious case. We're dealing with here a huge case where your wife claimed she was harassed in the most obscene way. Imag, how could you make fun of that in front of her industry peers and expect them to see it as some kind of funny meme? Honestly, Ryan tanked his and his wife's reputation. Even more with that move, it's no surprise they've been getting cooked on every corner of the internet since. Then it's well deserved.
Can't think of anyone who's done anything like that. And so
Blake Lively knows she is officially in crisis mode, and she's not just calling in a PR guru. She's calling the big guns. And by that, we mean an actual former CIA agent. Yes, you heard that right. The woman who built her brand on playing effortlessly chic Upper East Siders is now taking legal advice from someone trained in counterterrorism. You couldn't make this up if you tried.